Hello, my friends. Today is February 6th. It is Friday, and I'm happy that it's Friday. Usually it doesn't make a huge difference for me, but now that I've put the extra effort in to make sure that I am working during the week and not doing as much writing stuff and authorly business stuff or, media stuff over the weekend, I can honestly say I'm happy to have a couple of days where I'm not working on anything and taking a mental break. I have been extremely busy this week. Where do I start? The first thing that I did was I set up my secondary writing content like YouTube channel. It is called Sable BooKnight. It is specific for the revised podcast. So I have a podcast which I have posted episodes of on here, and it was also called Tania's Writing Realm. So it kind of made sense to post the videos here. And when I say videos, I mean it was like a sound wave type video. There was no actual footage of me in that podcast. Anyways, I have revamped the Tania's Writing Realm podcast into the Sable BooKnight podcast. And in that, I now have a co-host. Her name is Story Tyrant. We've done a couple of live streams on here together, and we've had a couple of conversations and interviews on this channel, but not at any frequency. Tyra and I have been writing friends for many years. I think we met in 2009. It is now 2026. So yes, we've known each other for a while now. I consider Tyra like my mentor, one of my mentors. My first mentor was Ishbel, who ran the writing group that I met with once a month, I believe, or twice a month at the library. It's been so many years now, I'm not sure. That's how I met Tyra anyways, was at this writing group. She became a mentor, and over the years we've become friends, and we talk every week, multiple times a week. We meet in person, we meet through Discord now that Skype is gone. We meet with our friend Orlando, who is a screenplay writer, and we encourage each other, we motivate each other. She has a great personality, great sense of humor. So if you're interested in checking out our video podcast, it is on the Sable BooKnight YouTube channel. So in addition to that, I have gotten a couple more submissions sent back to me from a couple of the writers for the Portals anthology, which I'm pretty excited about. In the midst of all that, I got a pretty big job through Fiverr, which I just finished today. It took a lot more work than I had anticipated. Thankfully, the person who wanted me to do this project was very patient and understanding. And when I reached a point where I'm like, okay, this is way more work than I expected it would be, they were willing to give me additional funds to continue the project. So that is done, and I kind of feel a sense of relief. I'm beginning to second guess myself as to whether or not I should keep doing Fiverr gigs. It depends on how these anthologies keep going. If they start keeping me busier than expected, then I'm not going to have time for Fiverr. I'm okay with that. Fiverr has been nice because it gives me these little side projects to do. It makes me a few dollars. I don't charge a whole lot with my Fiverr gigs, so it's not like I'm getting a ton of extra income, but it has been something I've enjoyed, especially the beta reading part of it. I get to see different writing styles, different stories in multiple genres, and I really enjoy giving people my feedback. I'm learning a lot about myself doing these Fiverr gigs. I have not been writing, and I started getting like this inspiration, this flood of motivation and ideas, which I haven't had honestly in years. Like, I've had ideas, but not where it's like it's pushing me to the point where I have to stop what I'm doing and write it down. So I started grabbing my phone at the little notepad and adding little notes and writing like a couple of paragraphs on my notepad just so that I had somewhere to put it down with wherever I was and whatever I was doing at the time. So I had a couple of new ideas, and I think that's pretty exciting. I just have not had the time to write. But at least I did get some things accomplished with my own writing projects, like 2 parts of short stories that went into the Portals anthology, a second story, 1 part that also was added into the anthology under a different author name. And I did start revising Red River Man, which was an award-winning story, and I really want to get back to that. But first, I need to get back to the Portals anthology and go through the editing process with a couple of stories and then return it to the authors so they have time to revise it. I'm starting to feel the time crunch on getting this published. I feel like, the goal to have the book launch in April seemed reasonable at the time. I don't think there's any harm in me pushing it out. I haven't given full details to the authors involved in the anthology because I honestly don't have a firm timeline. Because until I know exactly when I'm going to have those books in my hands, I can't necessarily set a firm launch date. So my original plan was to get the anthology finished together, cover designed, everything by the end of February, so that come March, I can start ordering print copies, so that gives us like a month or more, if required, to get the print copies ready and picked up. I am going with a local printing company rather than Amazon KDP print on demand, because I know I'm going to have more than just 20 or 30 books to order. And this brings me to another point. I have officially registered for a few things this year. On February 28th, Tyra and I are taking a writing course. I believe it's something about writing the spine. So it sounds really interesting. I haven't been in a classroom setting in many, many, many moons, so I'm excited. I have not actually taken any paid writing courses since I left school, since I graduated high school. So I'm kind of excited about this. In addition to that, I have booked us 3, I believe. Let's see, I got it up here above me. I've got 3. We have 3 vendor markets booked. The first one is in May, and it's very close by. The second and third one are both outdoor vendor markets during the summer and fall. So I want to make sure that I have a bunch of physical copies of the Portals anthology, of the Red Crimes, The Living Undiagnosed, 300 Man, and I'll take a look and see what else I have that I might need to make copies of. So I am very excited to get this moving. Another thing that has been weighing on me for like a year or 2 now is my color printer. I have this color printer that is amazing. It does such great quality prints that I was using it for print book covers for some of the handmade booklets that I've been selling at vendor markets and stuff. So I did have more booklets that I wanted to make, but my printer stopped printing. It does print occasionally. So say I send 10 copies to the printer. If I'm lucky, 1 copy will come out fully printed. And then the next time I go to use it, nothing comes out. So every time lately that I've tried, absolutely nothing comes out. I looked up this printer. Of course, I've had it for a very long time. You cannot buy this printer anywhere, and it is worth like hundreds, if not $1,000. Like, it is a very good quality color printer. Now, the resolution on this thing is crazy, but you cannot go to any store in person right now and buy a printer as good as this one with such high resolution. I'm really upset about it. I really wanted to be able to just, spend a few $100s, replace the printer, and be fine with it. But no go. I have been doing some browsing on Amazon to try to find anything with the resolution that even comes close to this one, and it just doesn't exist. Even the ones that are like $800, $1,000, even those printers don't come close to the printer that I have in terms of resolution. So a couple of things I was thinking. I get a cheaper printer maybe not cheaper, but cheaper than what I have, a more affordable printer that has decent resolution, but not quite as good, and make any of the booklet covers a little bit simpler so that it's not so detailed and I don't have to worry about the resolution as much. Or I just can that all together. And there is a local printing company in town that's only a few minutes from my house who would be willing to print off a bunch of covers for me. The only problem with that is I usually print covers myself 5 copies at a time, maybe 10 copies at a time. But if I go through a professional printing company, I got to order like 50, 100, 200, whatever. So I really need to put some thought into which way I want to go. I've done a video on this channel years ago about a DIY booklet making process. So I kind of show you exactly what it is that I'm doing. Those are the kind of booklets that I want to be able to do still. I have the saddle-bound book stapler. I've got the paper that I need. I've got the cover paper that I need. I have what I need for the printer. All I need to do is to get it to work. So one of the methods was to find out what could be wrong with this printer. Can I get it fixed? So I went to this new company in town. It hasn't been open super long, who does like printer repairs and they sell some stuff, nothing major, but like parts and that for computers and printers and phones, apparently phone repairs as well. So I go there and I tell him about my problem, and he says, okay, what you need to do is take like an alcohol swab, a Q-tip, go in and thoroughly clean out the printer, make sure any sensors are cleaned, and maybe it will work. So I haven't tried this yet. I should have done so by now, but I honestly I've been so busy with The Office and Christmas and then the anthology and starting the new podcast and starting the new YouTube channel and doing Fiverr gigs and family stuff. Sounds a little overwhelming, doesn't it? Not to mention, I've still had some off days. January was pretty bad. I had probably 3-4 seizures. It's been a while since I've had that many in 1 month. I also had some of my other symptoms happening with the blood pressure drops and that. I lose the ability to walk sometimes. Yesterday, I drove my car for a few minutes to get my son to school. And I ended up getting home and not being able to walk properly. Actually, I stopped at the drugstore first to get my prescription. And if anybody looked at me walking, they probably would have thought I had MS. I could not walk properly. Everything was tightened. Anyways, in other words, I've had some rough days too. So my plan right now is to take out these stories that I've got in my email, download the copy, move on to the editing phase with these stories, and then send them off to the writers. And then I'm going to go back to Red River Man and continue on with the revising. I think that the story really needs to be improved and extended. But it's a project I'm looking forward to. I had a lot of people come to me even over the past few years asking, where is the Red River Man? We're waiting for it. So I'm really excited to get that one done. Maybe if I'm lucky, I can get it done by the end of February and add it to my print book order. So I guess I'll talk to you again soon. Hi there, today is February 9th. Today is our 25-year anniversary. My husband and I started dating 25 years ago as of today. It's not our wedding anniversary, it is how long we've been together. We've officially been together for a quarter of a century. We don't have anything big planned. We went out for a really nice dinner this past weekend with our kids and my dad for his birthday, which is this coming Wednesday. And yeah, so it was pretty fun. We had a nice dinner and I went book shopping. I went to Indigo. I bought 4 books. Okay, so one of my plans is I've read Percy Jackson books by Rick Riordan. It's a nice, lighter read, palate cleanser. I really enjoy the humor that comes across in the characters' dialogue and Percy's internal thoughts. So I have read books 1 to 5. And I've had 10 other books by Rick Riordan in the same kind of world for quite a while. I've been getting them as gifts over the last couple of years, but my plan has been to read them in timeline order. And so I got this short story collection. I believe it's called The Cursed Carnival. it has the very first short story in timeline order that Rick Riordan published in this world. So I have read just that story, and I'm going back, and of course I'm reading the short stories from other authors. It's an anthology. It all has kind of the similar humor. They're all kids. It's entertaining. It's a nice light read. I read a lot of heavy fantasy books and that, so I do like to change it up and get that palate cleanser in between. The other thing I've been working on is reading the books on the shelf behind me. Some of them I've already read, and I have to go through to figure out which ones those are. When I first started reading, I started with Danielle Steele, and I mean, this is outside of school. So during school, I read Choose Your Own Adventure books. As I got older, my mom introduced me to Danielle Steele, some romance novels, and I read some of them. And then my mother-in-law always went to used book sales, so she would buy me boxes of Danielle Steele. And I said, okay, you know, I like them and I don't need any more. So then she started buying me other ones. So all the Harlequin books and Desire and some erotica. So I haven't been reading them because I got into fantasy, and I have stocked up on fantasy books, romantasy, all of that, and all of my longing to read romance kind of went to the side. So I decided the romance books like the Harlequin and Danielle Steele, I don't plan to keep forever. They are, to me, a one and done kind of thing. I read them and then I give them away or sell them or whatever I decide to do with them. So that is what I want to do. Now I can't fathom sitting there reading all of these lighter read, emotional romance books back to back. So they are the palate cleansers that I keep talking about. So far, I have read 2, and both of them ended up being like a ranch romance kind of thing. And I love horses. I have horse figurines like crazy. And so I really enjoyed this whole concept of falling in love with the cowboy. So I've read 2 of them. One was decent, but very light and could have been a little bit better, but the storyline was good. The second one I really enjoyed until the point where they summarized a lot of the very important events that I was waiting for in one chapter, and then I was like, yeah, I'm not impressed. But overall, I did give it a 4-star rating. So in terms of the book shopping, I don't know why I jumped ship and went to the topic of romance novels, but I got a different Percy Jackson book that is on my list way further down in the timeline order, but it only had 1 in stock, so I figure why not get it now so that I have it. The third book I got was a Samantha Shannon book. It is book 1. I think it's called the Bone series or something like that. It is the first series that I believe she published that I'm aware of. So I got book 1. I haven't started it yet, but I'm curious to see if I enjoy it as much as I did as the Priory of the Orange Tree. The 4th book I got was not on my list to buy, but they had this sale that if you buy any book in Indigo, then you could get a steamy romance for $10. And I figure, hey, Valentine's Day's coming around the corner, so why don't I? So what did I get? I got another Western romance type thing. So outside of reading and organizing books and trying to get through my backlog of stuff, I still have not sat down to work on Red River Man. Last week was super busy because we did the first episode of the Sable BooKnight podcast. I set up the Sable BooKnight YouTube channel. I revamped the podcast on Podbean to say that it's Sable BooKnight, and I got new images designed. I designed them myself. And then I had the big job on Fiverr, which I mentioned in the previous little snippet. So now I have 2 emails to get back to. I thought I would have gotten back to them on Friday, but I felt really burnt out from the video editing and everything else that I had been working on that day. So now I'm going to sit down today or tomorrow. We'll see what happens. I'm going to get back to the 2 edits for 2 of the authors in the Sable BooKnight anthology portals. I've also been trying to do a little bit of advertising for Sable BooKnight. I got the name potentially put into a local community book that is mailed out to every single household in this area. So it'll just have information about the website and what the company is. So I'm hoping that that will get some local writers involved and informed of the anthologies that I'm putting together. My to-do list is bigger than I actually admit to, but I'm not very organized yet in terms of what I am doing first. So yes, I do want to get Red River Man revised, edited, and ready for publication, and continue to work on the Portals anthology. And then I have another story that I'm working on after that, which is called Red Rain. So the Red Crimes book that I have previously published, this is kind of like a short story collection that I connected with a specific character and extended to a longer version. It is like a crime thriller mystery kind of thing. Anyways, there is one character in here that I fell in love with, and her name is Rain, and I decided to write her own book. I thought this was going to be a novel length, but it turns out it might just be a novella. But once I get to revising the story, the rough draft is done. Once I get to revising the story, I'll see if I need to extend or improve anything. Because again, it was written in the rush of novel writing November. On top of that, I also need to do my taxes. So author taxes, so much fun. I might do another video about author taxes, some tips and stuff, especially for the Canadian authors that submit taxes for their author business. Today is Monday, and Monday I promised myself that I would always spend time on media. However, as I've probably mentioned before, I have a hard time focusing on things in my author business and writing and so on and media when there's other things to do around the house. So today I kind of pushed myself to go shopping, pick up some essentials for the family, and then I did dishes, made some egg salad, made everybody lunch, and by then half the day's gone already. So I only have a couple of hours here before everybody comes back home. So I figured I'd pop in and give a little update on where I am at with some things. Otherwise, yesterday was a rough day. I had a seizure. It was a rough one. And then I spent a few hours sleeping. And then the rest of the day, I literally just sat around, watched some TV. There's not much I can do when I'm burnt out from going out. Like the day before, I had gone to my son's hockey game. And then we went to Winnipeg to the bookstore. And then we went out for dinner and came back, and then I had a writing meeting with Tyra, Story Tyrant, my co-host in the podcast. So by Sunday, I was completely burned out. I think a part of that is the chronic fatigue syndrome on top of the neurological disorders that I have. So I had to allow myself rest. And then today was the catch up on the minimalistic cleaning that I needed to get done. I still have laundry to do, but I'm putting that off to come here and sit and talk with you. So yes, back to my plan. My plan today, go back, get those emails, check out those people's stories that they sent with their round one of editing, work on that, send it back to them, and then, yeah, I'm just going to kind of wing it. If I put too much on my plate, then I tend to get overloaded and overstimulated, and my brain goes, boing! I'm still waiting for some pricing back on a large whiteboard. I really, really am looking forward to getting my whiteboard because I want to get organized. I want a to-do list. I want a schedule. I want somewhere that I can put notes down so I don't forget to do certain things in the stories that I'm working on. I want my timeline, my schedule down for the Portals anthology. Now, if you're watching this, you get early notification that there is a new anthology listed on the submissions page on the Sable BooKnight website. So I'm not going to tell you anything about it. You got to go and look for yourself. That's sablebooknight.ca/submissions. Hello, everyone. Today is Tuesday, February 17th. Yesterday was Louis Riel Day in Manitoba. So our whole family was home. It was kind of a down day, very much relaxing, and well, I was very worn out, so I couldn't do very much. So today I'm feeling a little rough. I woke up jittery, and as the day goes on, I'm having a harder and harder time walking. I did have to go for a short drive today, and it honestly just made things worse. But hey, gotta take things one day at a time. So today I'll be going to the neurologist, and I'm giving him a list of all my symptoms and seizures and stuff that I've had over the past 6 weeks, and also some blood pressure drops. I have the feeling this is where he's going to start my diet change. My guess is it's going to be low carb and no refined sugars. That is going to be a huge adjustment. So we'll see what happens. Red River Man is completely formatted. I have officially ordered the cover from GetCovers. I really, really suggest considering checking out GetCovers. I really believe in what they do. They do a great job. They're very skilled. And honestly, it is extremely affordable, especially for an independent author who isn't quite making the big bucks yet. So if you're interested, there is an affiliate link below, as well as a coupon code that can only be used with that affiliate link. So I started working on Red Rain. I have not gotten very far. The whole rough draft is complete. I feel like there should be no plot holes and no major adjustments, but it does need some work because a lot of it was written during the novel November rush. So that is my next project plan, is Red Rain. The Portals anthology. Yesterday I received the final story, meaning I am ready to move on to the final stages of formatting the book. So this means that I can go forward with ordering the cover from GetCovers, and I'm really excited for this. I have some ideas of what I want. From there, I am going to reach out to that printing company, which I previously mentioned, and I'm going to request an estimate for printing copies of the Portals anthology, as well as some of my other books, so that I can prepare for the upcoming markets that I have scheduled for. So on Saturday, Tyra and I recorded a podcast episode. We agreed to keep things about 30 minutes. We ended up going for an hour. So it was an hour-long recording, and afterwards I felt really slow and sluggish, and I couldn't do anything for the rest of the day. However, I went back and checked the recording afterwards, and it turns out that I forgot to record Tyra's audio, so the entire hour is a scrap. So now we need to find time to record another podcast episode. And the downside to this is that I don't know when that's going to happen. Today is a busy day for both Tyra and I. Tomorrow we have some other stuff going on, as well as our writing meeting. Maybe on Thursday we can schedule some time to record the episode. On top of that, Tyra and I had been scheduled for a writing class in Winnipeg, and unfortunately it was rescheduled out to the end of March. However, I'm okay with that because this month has been pretty rough for me health-wise, and as you can tell, I'm even stuttering over my words as I speak, so I'm pretty sure I could use the downtime. Otherwise, I'm putting some more thought into the Portals book launch, and I'm getting some printed copies for everything. So I'm looking forward to the rest of this year. It's going to be busy, but hopefully productive. And I'm hoping that this Portals anthology really gives Sable BooKnight a little bit more notice. And hopefully other writers will find the open submissions list so that I can get some different writers involved in putting together these anthologies. And I'm so excited that going forward, I will be able to pay the writers for their stories. Otherwise, I don't really have much else going on. I am considering doing BookTok. Now, BookTok, TikTok itself is something that I have never been interested in. Not for any particular reason other than, I was a little skeptical because, putting this app on your phone, it's spyware, blah, blah, blah. There's all this talk about TikTok. However, I've watched some videos on some independent authors who have used BookTok to their advantage, and it seems to really do a massive boost in sales. So I've heard a few things. The first thing I heard was Make videos about your own books with you in them, talking about or showing how excited you are about your stories so that other writers and readers will see how excited you are, and they might get excited about it and buy some copies. Now, there is another way of doing this where one specific writer that I watched her videos for talked about making multiple TikTok accounts and making different videos about the same book and posting on each of those accounts, one account per day, different videos, different accounts, all about the same book. And these are like ghost accounts. And apparently this is how this author made it to like a six-figure author business. And I think that that's pretty interesting. I am on the fence whether or not I want to go that route. I'm leaning more towards doing like a Sable BooKnight business BookTok account and not putting it on my phone, just on my computer. Then I can talk about other authors' books, other independent authors, as well as my own and the anthology and that. And I'm going to have a lot of fun with it, I think. It's just the time. And right now, I don't have time to start it. I really need to look after myself and focus on this book launch. But I think once I get through that, then maybe I'll consider, like, put some serious consideration into starting this Sable BooKnight TikTok account. Now, if I do, and you need help promoting your book, and you're an independent author, and you think it's something that I would like to read, I may be willing to pick up a copy of your book and give an honest review or feedback or advertisement for your book on TikTok. And that's, of course, providing I actually build up an audience on TikTok. Now, of course, my dog is barking because she wants to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to wrap this video up. So have a great rest of your day, afternoon, evening, night, or whatever, and happy writing.